Last question from my side. Like, what are the major changes do you think need to be adopted by businesses to protect themselves, or at least cushion the shock presented by an event like this in future? What's the absolute need of the hour? Like, we can do that.
Right. From a business perspective, right? Well, there's so many things that businesses can do, right? So beyond the period of managing the pandemic, I think businesses need to very quickly respond to the changing nature of work.
Yes.
So we know that one of the challenges that has affected businesses is rapid decline in worker availability and worker productivity. And
Yes.
the reason, the source of that problem is that although the work that could have been shifted from a collective office or factory environment to the home environment or personal environment has happened to some extent. But I think more needs to be done in terms of ensuring worker productivity in these setups.
Yes.
I'm sure there's a great role for training, both
Yes.
for managers and workers on how to improve the workflow. I think there are certain innovations that are pending. So there's a role of learning how to operate in this new personal environment, both by ways of training and compartmentalization of work so that it lends itself to a distributed manner
Yes.
compared to when things used to be together. So we still have to work with people, that is work in teams, but we need to work in a slightly isolated manner, which I think requires some level of innovation on how workflow and work stream is managed. I think there's another lesson for businesses, and that is around risk. So the crisis has showed us, and especially businesses, the folly of thin cash reserves. So a lot of businesses have operated on high corporate debt,
Yes.
low margins,
Yes.
and it's not easy to maintain cash reserves beyond a few months in those environments when you're competing in a marketplace with those practices. I think the vulnerability has now revealed that a higher degree of reserves in terms of cash are required to cushion any further shocks, which may be pandemic or of another nature. A third area which we earlier touched upon is clearly risk emanating from supply chain reliability. I think a lot of businesses will be trending towards more diversification as a matter of principle, and also gaining more sight about their first-tier suppliers versus second-tier suppliers and third-tier suppliers. It would be naive of us to understand that businesses had a very tight grip on their supply chains. Surely they knew their first-tier suppliers, but very few of them have adequately mapped the second-tier and third-tier suppliers, which may be potential sources of risk in the case of a global crisis such as this one. So these are some areas that I think businesses could improve in terms of enhancing their resilience. I think that's what I have to say about this.